Rohingya Muslims are so desperate to leave Myanmar they are willing to risk their lives by crossing a 4-kilometre (2.5-mile) stretch of water on flimsy makeshift rafts or even swimming to Bangladesh. More than 200 have drowned attempting the crossing during the past 2 months, but recent calm seas have encouraged more and more people, many of them families with tiny children, to pack onto rafts made of bamboo with plastic jerrycans lashed to the poles for buoyancy. Rohingya refugees packed onto an improvised raft from Myanmar to Bangladesh. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Reuters photographer saw up to 10 rafts landing on the beaches of Teknaf, at the southern tip of Cox's Bazar, on Friday the 10th of November. Border Guard Bangladesh officials counted 444 refugees coming ashore at Sabrang, near Teknaf, and 150 more arriving further along the coast. Thousands more made the crossing as the fine weather continued over the weekend. Some have taken even more desperate measures. In the past week, more than 3 dozen boys and young men have swum across the mouth of the Naf River clinging onto yellow plastic containers. The Associated Press spoke to 2 teenage boys who swam across the river holding onto empty plastic cooking oil containers. 13-year-old Nabi Hussain couldn't swim, and had never even seen the sea before fleeing his village in Myanmar with his family. They arrived at the coast with a flood of other Rohingya refugees and had no money for a boat and a smuggler. Every day, there was less food. So after 4 days, Nabi told his parents he wanted to swim the delta to reach the thin line of land he could see in the distance. His parents didn't want him to go. One of his older brothers had left for Bangladesh 2 months ago, and they had no idea what had happened to him. They knew the strong currents could carry Nabi into the ocean. Eventually, though, they agreed, on the condition that he not go alone. So Nabi joined a group of 23 other young men who strapped cooking oil containers to their chests as floats, and stepped into the water just as the current started to shift toward Bangladesh. The men stayed in groups of 3, tied together with ropes. Nabi was in the middle, because he was young and didn't know how to swim. But he clung to the empty container and struggled across the water with it for about 2.5 miles, all the way to Bangladesh. "I was so scared of dying," he said. "I thought it was going to be my last day." Just after sunset, the group reached Shahpurir Dwip, exhausted, hungry and dehydrated. Nabi is now alone, one of an estimated 40,000 unaccompanied Rohingya Muslim children living in Bangladesh. His parents don't know he is alive. Although Rohingya Muslims have lived in Myanmar for decades, the country's Buddhist majority still sees them as invaders from Bangladesh. The government denies them basic rights, and the United Nations has called them the most persecuted minority in the world. And then came the military crackdown. "We had a lot of suffering, so we thought drowning in the water was a better option," said Kamal Hussain, 18, who also swam to Bangladesh with an oil container. Rohingya refugees packed onto an improvised raft arrived at Sabrang near Teknaf, Bangladesh. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. Rohingya refugees desperate to leave Myanmar paddle a makeshift raft across the Naf River. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Rohingya refugee woman holds her baby and a makeshift paddle while crossing the Naf River on an improvised raft. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. Rohingya refugees cross the Naf River on an improvised raft. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Rohingya refugee child on board a makeshift raft while crossing the Naf River. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. Makeshift rafts filled with Rohingya Muslim refugees fleeing Myanmar sail towards the Bangladesh side of Naf River. Navish Chitrika Reuters. Rohingya refugee women cry while crossing the Naf River on an improvised raft. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A member of Border Guards Bangladesh tells Rohingya refugees crossing the Naf River on an improvised raft not to anchor in Shahpurir Dwip. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Rohingya refugee boy cries as he arrives in Bangladesh on a makeshift raft. Navish Chitrika Reuters. Rohingya refugees arrive on the banks of the Naf River on a makeshift raft after crossing the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. Navish Chitrika Reuters. Locals help Bangladesh border guards to pull Rohingya refugees arriving on a makeshift boat at Shahpurir Dwip near Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. Navish Chitrika Reuters. Rohingya refugees get off an improvised raft at Sabrang near Teknaf, Bangladesh, after crossing the Naf River. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Rohingya Muslim refugee baby is carried off a raft at Saplapur Beach in the Teknaf district of Bangladesh. Divyangshu Sarkar app. Rohingya refugees disembark from an improvised raft after crossing the Naf River at Sabrang near Teknaf, Bangladesh. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A baby cries as his mother wades with him through the river on the Bangladesh side of the river. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. Rohingya refugees wade to dry ground after crossing crossing the Naf River on an improvised raft. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. Rohingya Muslim refugees walk up the banks of the Naf River after arriving on a makeshift raft. Divyangshu Sarkar, a Sikh Rohingya refugee child who crossed the Naf River on an improvised raft, lies on the ground as they are temporarily detained by Bangladesh border guards. Mohammed Panur Hassan Reuters. A Rohingya Muslim refugee woman carrying a baby waits for permission to go to refugee camps in Bangladesh. Divyangshu Sarkar. Rohingya Muslim refugees who entered Bangladesh by raft wait to be granted permission go to refugee camps. Divyangshu Sarkar. Rohingya Muslim refugees who entered Bangladesh on makeshift rafts walk towards refugee camps. Divyangshu Sarkar. A young Rohingya Muslim refugee who entered Bangladesh on a raft walks with her belongings towards refugee camps after landing at Saplapur beach in the Teknaf district of Bangladesh. Divyangshu Sarkar. People reaching the shore have told Reuters that there are thousands living in desperate conditions on the strand of beach by the river's mouth at Panuang Pingi, as they waited for a chance to cross over. Dil Mohammed, 30, from Buthadong, one of the Rakhine regions that bore the brunt of the military operation, finally made it across with his wife and 3 children after weeks of living on the sand because he could not afford to pay a boatman. Having kept northern parts of Rakhine State virtually off-limits since it launched a counter-insurgency operation there in late August, Myanmar's military made a rare show of openness on Sunday the 12th of November by taking foreign journalists to see one of the beaches from which Rohingya are trying to escape. Around 1,000 Rohingya Muslims are camped on an exposed, sun-baked beach on the Bay of Bengal waiting for a boat to carry them to sanctuary in Bangladesh. The beach at Alavan Kiao, some 5 kilometers south of the mouth of the Naf River, is a kind of purgatory for the Rohingya. Muhammad Idnu, a 19-year-old laborer, sold his house and belongings, but he and his family have spent everything surviving for the past 2 months and have no money to pay the $50 a head that boatmen are demanding to take them to Bangladesh. I don't want to go back to my village because there is nothing for us, Idnu told Reuters. We cannot survive. Some have been stuck there for over a month, sweltering under the plastic sheeting used to make tents and existing on handouts proved by the Myanmar Red Cross Society. Others came just a few days ago, a sign that the flight of the Rohingya to Bangladesh is far from over. The International Rescue Committee (IRC) reckons that 2/3 of the 300,000 Rohingya still in Myanmar could leave in the next couple of months. A Rohingya Muslim boy waits in a temporary camp outside Mongda, northern Rakhine State, Myanmar while lone Reuters. A Rohingya Muslim woman holding a baby walks in a temporary camp outside Mongda, northern Rakhine State, Myanmar while lone Reuters. Rohingya Muslims are held in a temporary camp near Mongda in Myanmar's northern Rakhine State, before crossing the border to Bangladesh while lone Reuters. Myanmar Border Guard Police Force patrol near the Myanmar-Bangladeshi border outside Mongda, northern Rakhine State while lone Reuters. Aerial view of a burned Rohingya village near Mongda, northern Rakhine State, Myanmar while lone Reuters. Aerial view of boats near a Rohingya village outside Mongda, northern Rakhine State, Myanmar while lone Reuters. Over 613,000 Rohingya have already taken refuge in Bangladesh since a Myanmar military clearance operation forced them to abandon their villages in northern Rakhine State. Many have recounted horror stories of rape and murder. A top UN official described the military's actions as ethnic cleansing, though Myanmar denied that, saying its operation was needed for national security after Rohingya militants attacked 30 security posts on the 25th of August. The IRC has warned of the extremely dangerous health conditions for the hundreds of thousands of Rohingya living in camps around Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. A nutrition survey led by its partner Action Contra La Fame found that 40,000 Rohingya children face malnutrition and require life-saving assistance. Agencies reported that 2/3 of Cox's Bazar's water is contaminated with feces. The conditions we are seeing in Cox's Bazar create a perfect storm for a public health crisis on an unimaginable scale, said Kat Matheny, the IRC's emergency response director in Cox's Bazar. The situation will only deteriorate with more arrivals and a greater strain on already overstretched resources.